Oh, yeah, here we go again. Hello, and welcome into Ray on Sports. I am your host, Johnny Ray. In this podcast, we talk all things sports from my own opinion. You may agree or you may disagree, but all I do is ask that you listen. So come on in, buckle up, and let's take this ride.
All right, all right. Once again, we're here in the building, Ray on Sports, with your host, Johnny Ray. And today, as always, I have a very special guest coming in to talk about master foundational cells. She's going to come in right now, and I'm going to introduce her, and she'll come in and we'll talk about it. All right? Hello, how are you?
Hi, Johnny Ray. I'm doing great. Thanks for having me. How are you?
Thank you. I'm good. I'm trying to get over a cold, but I'll be okay. I think I'll be okay. All right. So we have Miss Darlene Greene. She's a master foundational cell activation technology consultant, helping you to activate your cells, repair DNA, reverse age, and improve the health of your brain and cardiovascular systems, and get out of pain. She's a co-author of a book of 2024 best-selling book, Becoming Empowered: Echoes of Grace and Strength. She is a U.S. Navy commander, retired, inspiring others and helping them to optimize their emotional and physical health to live to their best life. So welcome. Is it Dr. Green? Is it Ma'am Green?
It's just Darlene.
Commander Green?
Commander Green. Call me Darlene.
Okay. So let's talk about it. Let's go ahead and talk about it. How did you get started in this?
Oh, it's such a good question. Well, I've been into health a long time because long ago, back in 1996, I was diagnosed with my first autoimmune disorder. And so there's really nothing that Western medicine offers for autoimmune disorders. So I had chronic fatigue syndrome, and then I was diagnosed with fibromyalgia, and then I was diagnosed with POTS, which is postural orthostatic tachycardia. So I would faint. I would just black out and pass out. And I was placed on a drug for increasing my blood pressure so that I get enough blood to the brain and not pass out. And so this was this has been a journey where I've worked hard on my health to try to optimize it. I've learned a lot about alternative medicine approaches, but really I didn't dive into these master foundational cells, which in any other country I would call stem cells. In this country, because the FDA and the FTC have decided they own the word stem cells and we're not allowed to talk about that, we're going to call them master foundational cells. But I didn't really get involved in researching this until my husband was diagnosed with early Alzheimer's. Well, he was 64 when he was first diagnosed, and he declined quite rapidly. I mean, like 14 years of decline took 2 years for him. So it was very accelerated. And he was at a place in time where he was age 5, not really communicating and talking to me anymore. It was just too hard. Really not his same personality. He was kind of a shell of his former self. He wasn't even trying to be funny. And that's kind of core to who he is. Johnny Ray he's just always been trying to make everybody laugh all the time. And so I really kind of lost him. And I had tried and was trying a lot of things. I was really desperately trying. The only medicine Western medicine offered was something that caused a brain bleed in 50% of people that had his APOE4 gene type. So that was not an option. And so their guidance was, come back and see us in a year. We'll see how far he's declined at that point. That was really it. So I'm trying. Wow. I tried gene mapping. I tried microbiome testing and interventions around the whole gut. We certainly revamped the diet, right? We took out we had this saying in our family, if it tastes good, spit it out, which isn't true actually, but was kind of our drill, because it was sort of like, no more alcohol, no more soda, no more genetically modified foods, only high quality fats, only organic food, only grass-fed, grass-finished, you name it, we were working on it. We worked with infrared sauna and red light therapy. We did hyperbaric chamber twice a week for a month. very expensive. We did ozone therapy, hydrogen water, daily strength training and high interval training, a sleep protocol. We tried everything. Finally, everything I was reading and researching said the best thing is stem cells. So I went out of country and I got IV stem cells from Guadalajara, and we did this for him and we did it for me. It was $10,000 an IV. And I remember like praying and thinking, this is not sustainable. I need a solution that is not going to cause me to have to mortgage the house, because we did this like quarterly. And unfortunately, we just saw no results from it. A lot of people do see great results, but we did not. So by the time this technology that I'm going to talk to you about today found me, we were kind of at wit's end and in desperate straits. So when a friend of mine said, look, I know you've gone out of country to get stem cell IV. I have a product, a technology that helps you activate your own master foundational cells. And it does this through a patch that's non-transdermal. It's completely safe. It's not expensive. I recommend you try it. It's changed my family's life. And she described for me her situation, which was really remarkable, from her cousin who had end-stage Agent Orange leukemia and was on his deathbed and told, we're sorry, that, he had sold his cows. He was on painkillers around the clock. He was using a wheelchair or a walker to get to the bathroom. Really, in fact, they were saying to him, we're going to give you this medicine. It's going to kill you, but it'll improve your quality of life until you die. And she was like, try these patches. Well, the next thing you know, he's out of bed in 3 days. He's out of pain. He is traveling in 2 weeks. He is, his T cell, white cell count is doing great, going in the right direction for the first time in years. And before long, he is having a very high quality of life. He bought all of his cows back. And this is now, almost 2 years in, he is doing fantastic. Her daughter had a rare genetic disorder. Day 15 was no longer needing any ADHD medicine for the first time in forever, and went from kindergarten, even though she was 16, she was kindergarten level, went from kindergarten to upper third, lower fourth grade before she, in just 5 weeks. And it just continued to get better. So her whole family was changing. So I was like, sure, I will try this. What do I have to lose? I mean, it's a tiny little patch. It looks like the size of a quarter. Can you see it right there? It's a tiny little patch.
Yeah, I can see it.
Doesn't have medicine or anything in it. So it's completely safe. No prescription required. It gets mailed to your house and you pop it on. So we started patching, and I will tell you, this was remarkable. I mean, the changes that I saw in the first week, even. So in the first week, where he had napped 3.5 hours a day, he no longer was napping. In fact, he didn't fall asleep at 7 p.m. He stayed awake through our show. He was chattier and really engaged in conversation. And what was really fun is he was not only more with it and replying appropriately, but he was funny and flirty and back to his original personality. So in a week, I got my husband back. And I will tell you, there have been other improvements over time, from getting his best deep sleep recording, went from 15 minutes was the best we'd ever gotten for him, to an hour and 25 minutes of deep sleep in the second week. His blood pressure dropped 37 points at the 2.5 month mark. He had lost his sense of smell 15 years ago, and he regained that at month 5. He had his bald spot of hair started to close up, and instead of having gray hair, his hair came in brown, which I had never seen him with brown hair. It was just like all these amazing things. And those things that improved have stayed improved the entirety of this time. Other things have declined. He is not cured of Alzheimer's. So I want to be very clear. And I do need to state that our products that I'm talking to you about now, they're not intended to cure, treat, diagnose, or prevent disease, even if they do.
Okay.
They're a generic wellness product, like a Band-Aid. That's the category we're in. They help the body optimize the body's sense, and get to wellness. And so I had my own story, which I'll tell you about later, but I want to talk about how they work and why they work, because this is such an amazing technology. And I was incredibly frustrated that I hadn't heard about it. I was frustrated because I had done a lot of research. I had tried a lot of things. This was $99 for a 1 month supply of patches that all of a sudden, really improve health on every front. People who just need more energy, or people who have, high blood pressure or high A1C, or whatever they're trying to help their body resolve. These master foundational cells, they're what made you to begin with. They're the first two cells that came together, and they became all the different kinds of tissues that you have in your body. They can become bone or muscle or cartilage or fat or brain or lungs or liver or kidney or anything, lungs. They can become anything, and they actually reduce inflammation, and they trigger the death of old cells. So what I love about this patch is in the first day of wearing it, the first 24 hours of wearing it, you reset 4,000 genes to their younger, healthier state. So that is phenomenal. And what I didn't know is that when we are 30, half of our stem cells or master foundational cells are dormant. And at age 60, which is, think about where you are, and it's actually, I'm months away from there. We have only a small number that are active any longer. So they're in there, but they're not doing anything for us. And so we're aging more quickly, and we're healing more slowly. And so what this patch has over 90 clinical studies that support its efficacy, probably better than any supplement or any pharmaceutical medicine you have in your house. They are available across the world in 87 countries. We're the fastest growing company of our type for 4 years in a row, just exploding, because people like me won't now shut up about it. Like it was really one of those things where if you asked in the beginning, do you even believe this? I would have told you no. I was incredibly skeptical. I just had nothing to lose. There's a money back guarantee. Why not give it a try? But now that I know so much about it, now I've read all the 90 clinical studies. Now I've actually patched, several hundred people. And so now I understand how it works. And so let's talk about that for a second, because the first thing to know is it's 100% safe. There's no contraindication with any drug you might be taking or any modality of therapy you might be having. We have people who are on chemotherapy. We have people who are on everything going that are out patching and getting great results. Available in 87 countries, ships to your door. But the way it works is very much like, sorry for the background noise, that'll go away in a second, but it's very much like when you, when you go out in the sun and you find your body makes vitamin D. There's basically something, the light signaling the skin, hey, produce more vitamin C, or melanin for a suntan, right? These are things everyone understands. They don't necessarily understand how that happens or why that happens, but they understand that it happens. So this is a similar thing that's happening. Only what it is since phototherapy has been used for 5,000 years, and we know that if I were to look at you with night vision goggles on, I would actually see light inside of you, just like we do in the movies. We see the signature of the outline of a human being and in houses, through walls, through clothing, all of that. So that light inside of you, what we're doing with this patch is it's sort of like a double-sided mirror. It's a lattice structure of aminos, sugars, and salts that are hermetically sealed in this patch, making like a double-sided mirror. So it can be facing this way, or I could actually put it on my shirt, on the outside of my shirt, or I could face it the opposite direction. It doesn't matter. It could be slipped in my pocket. It's still going to work. And it reflects that light that you have in you back at a very specific wavelength. That lattice structure has created a sort of a focus of that wavelength on a very specific structure. And that causes these biochemical responses that are beneficial. And so we have anesthesiologist, Dr. Joseph Peck, for example, who's been a 40-year physician, who says, this is the most significant medical breakthrough in my lifetime. And we have elite athletes. Wow. This is right down your alley, right? Elite athletes that have been using patches for 20 years. We have Michael Phelps, David Beckham, Serena Williams, the whole Olympic. There were over 300 Olympic athletes in the 2008 Olympics wearing the patches for enhanced performance and rapid recovery. And I'm sure you're familiar with Ivory Sully, who is a 5-time NFL Outstanding Special Teams Player of the Year and a captain of his team. He has been patching not only himself but several NFL friends. And now he recently reported Tom Brady is patching. The Kansas City Chiefs are patching. There's just a lot of elite athletes because of the improvement in regenerative science is huge, and peptides are huge. And what this master foundational cell activating patch does is it elevates a peptide in your body called copper peptide. Copper peptide, which is also called GHKCU, this has been studied for 50 years. And you can go into PubMed and you can type in GHKCU and you can see all of these studies. But what you'll find, if you were to combine all the studies and get a summary of it, here's what GHKCU does, which we have a patent that proves that our patch elevates to the GHKCU. So the GHKCU increases stem cells, it produces growth factors, it improves the brain and nerves, it actually improves heart health, including reducing fibrinogen and increasing myostatin, which is tremendous since cardiovascular heart disease is our #1 killer in our country. It increases healing and tissue repair, which athletes love. It resets 4,200 genes to their younger, healthier state. Great anti-cancer benefits, including it resetting the programmed cell death of cancer cells. So cancer is always in our body. It's when it's like runaway train and it keeps multiplying that it becomes such an issue, right? So this resets the programmed cell death of those cancer cells without affecting healthy cells. And it repairs damaged DNA. And it resets 84 of the genes to protect against cancer. It also protects lung cells. It protects against, it improves skin and hair. It lengthens telomeres. And telomeres, if you're not familiar with it, are associated with your length of life. The longer your telomeres, the longer you're going to live. And the shorter your telomeres, and as we age, each time our cell multiplies, there's a little reduction of the telomere. The telomere is like the cap on a shoestring, a tennis shoe string. There's that little plastic cap at the end that keeps the shoelace from unraveling. Your telomeres are like that in your cells that keep your DNA protected. And so what happens is every time the cell multiplies, that little telomere shortens and shortens. And our products are proven to not only protect the telomere from shortening, but actually lengthen the telomere. And so when you wear this master foundational cell patch, there have been, I want to share with you 2 studies. There's 90 clinical studies, but 2 of them are what I think are incredibly powerful, visually and otherwise. So there's a 2019 study done by Cytek Chevalier, and he had EEG imaging and blood work done on people that first they did imaging, which is available on my website. If any of your listeners want to look at the pictures I'm describing right now, they can go to iamreverseaging.com. iamreverseaging.com. So in the pictures, you'll see the first session is the EEG before anybody puts this patch on. And you see redness, and you see a lot of and that's a not healthy brain. That's a brain that's got traumatic brain injury, potentially from athletic injuries, right? That's a brain that has hypercoherence, which is poor communication across both the left and right hemisphere. That's a brain that's got autism or ADHD or anger or PTSD. That's not a healthy brain. When you look at the brain pictures just 3 weeks later in session 2, you can already see the color mapping changing, and you can see the improvement in the health. And in session 3, which is 6 weeks later, you've got a whole new color map. And what this double-blind placebo-controlled study found is not only did it elevate your GHKCU, which we know and expected, but it supported the cell and nerve regeneration in the brain. It improved the nervous system and actually lowered anxiety. And I am a testament of that. I actually had depression, not surprising with my husband who had Alzheimer's, early Alzheimer's at 64. I mean, this is a good reason to be depressed, actually, but I wanted to cry every day. And I was really struggling with emotions. And in just 2 to 3 weeks, my depression symptoms completely went away. I was just lifted out of it. But I also got to see the other benefits of the study showed decreased brain inflammation and improved memory, focus, and cognition. And I got to watch that in my husband. He was no longer asking me the same questions over and over again. He was able to have enough cognitive capability to have a conversation, to answer appropriately. So I love that study, and I got to experience it myself. I got to watch it, and then since I've seen it in a lot of people. But then there's another study that I think you'll really like a lot, because, you know, we are having more and more elite athletes just drop of a heart attack. Some of it, some people talk about the vaccination being involved. Others would say that's not related. But whatever is happening, you know, there's a problem. We know that cardiovascular disease is a problem. So they did a study, and what they found in the Center for Biofield Sciences study was on the vascular system. And they found that 6 weeks of wearing this master foundational cell patch, they saw improvements in the vascular system, which is really from the top of your head to the bottom of your feet, you have blood vessels. So their whole vascular system improved. And every 6 weeks, the cardiovascular system started functioning as if it were 8 weeks younger. Amazing improvement in health, organ health improvement, reverse aging essentially. And that's because GHK actually helps new blood vessels form, and it promotes circulation. It actually also prevents the blood from clotting too much, and it restores integrity to vessel walls. Well, let me tell you how this manifested for me. I had POTS, and during POTS, you pass out. Well, from the moment that I started patching, I never had another day of fainting. I never had to take that fludrocortisol medicine ever again. And I see one of your folks is asking, Karen, about the BAC, the bacterial artificial chromosome gene, that is, you know, I have to be very careful about medical answers, but I will tell you, I don't know anyone that this doesn't help. I have, if you patch long enough, they say patch for a month for every decade you are old, and you will see some improvement. Most of the time, in 3 to 6 weeks, 80% of people see the beginning of that rejuvenation, regeneration, and repair of the cells. It's not an overnight process. Like, this is not a, you know, you put the patch on and you're fixed. It takes time. I got to see pretty remarkable results for both of us pretty quickly, but typically 6 to 8 weeks, you'll see pain relief, reduced inflammation, increased energy and vitality. Wound healing is faster. That enhanced sports performance we talked about, or a faster recovery from exercise is fantastic. So where I used to be really sore, part of that's my fibromyalgia, which I don't even know that anybody knows what fibromyalgia is. I don't even know that anybody knows what chronic fatigue syndrome is. And I never really would claim the title of those. I just was like, yeah, I'm going to live my life and not own that. But I will tell you, I used to really struggle after working out in the gym. I would come home and I would be sore and hardly able to walk for days. And so I had to be really gentle with my body. But since patching, I can go work out as hard as I want in the gym, and I'm okay. It's not a matter of being so sore that it just kills me. Also, improved skin appearance. The improved skin appearance is great. Like, we love to feel young, but the reason for that improved skin appearance is actually the increased collagen that your body is making. So remember, there's nothing going in the skin. This is your body getting a signal, let's make more collagen. Well, that makes you look younger, and that younger looking face is a reflection of younger looking organs, because your skin is really your largest organ. And so it's the most visible organ. And what this is known to do is improve the health of your organs. And you get to see that in the improved skin appearance. It also improves that mental clarity, and people see that. But it's really, the other thing I will share with you is it's simple, right? You put a patch on for 12 hours and you take it off and you throw it away. Or you put it on your pet, or you put it on your loved one. There's still a little bit of life in it. You don't wear it around the clock, because we don't want your body to get used to the signal and stop responding. And also, the only requirement really is that you drink half of your body weight in ounces of water every day. So water is really important for our whole body. We really are 80% water. So we're bags of water, and we need to drink good water, good quality water. We need some electrolytes, especially your athletes, right? They know that already. We don't need to tell anybody. But a little Celtic sea salt, if you've got a listener like my mom who's 83 who won't drink, electrolytes, but she will take a little tab of electrolytes or put a little Celtic sea salt under her tongue and get those minerals so that it takes those to get the water into the cell. Without that little bit of all those minerals, the water doesn't get into the cell, and that's where it's needed. So it's super, super simple. And there's a whole suite of products that people can reach out and we can talk about, but there's only 2 other patches that I really want to make sure people know about. Because one was the #1 best-selling patch before this Master Foundational Cell Activation patch came out. It's an anti-inflammatory patch. And that patch is phenomenal. And when you have an issue, anybody that's got an issue, we want to start with those 2 patches. And here's why. Anytime you elevate those master foundational cells, they get consumed by inflammation. They get attracted to sites of inflammation, and then they just kind of get eaten up like a Pac-Man. So when you lower the body's inflammation with this other anti-inflammation patch, while you're elevating and activating those master foundational cells, now they can go to work for you. And that's really exciting because people see much improved benefit faster with the 2 patches. I mean, if budget is an issue and you can only do the master foundational cells patch, that's okay. It's just going to take longer, and that's okay. We want you patching, a long time anyway. You don't want to think this is an overnight one and done. But that anti-inflammation patch, other benefits include reducing stress. It's also balances your autonomic nervous system. It calms the brain and balances hormones, which, I had trouble with hormones that, anyone postmenopausal does. And so this completely changed me and balanced my hormones. And I love that. It also improves the immune system and has anti-aging benefits. It's actually called the happy patch or the longevity patch because it's just so effective. And then there's another set of patches which are remarkable, probably the most demonstrative patches that we have because they happen and they work immediately. They work in 15 seconds. They work in a minute, and they're they're the pain reduction patches. And they're proven scientifically in 14 studies to be effective at reducing pain, not just in humans, but also in horses and in pets. And these patches they have an effect that's similar to a blue laser, but they eliminate pain, they reduce inflammation, and it doesn't matter what the source of that pain is. For example, we've had people with, migraines, or people that have backaches, or people that have a pulled nerve. It doesn't matter. Pain is actually blocked energy. And when you can get the energy flowing and disrupt the signal to the brain, you can feel no more pain. Now, the thing that you have to be careful with, especially with your athletes, Johnny Ray, because you and I both know you take away their pain, they run out in the field and they are not confident that they're still injured, right? You're still injured even if you're not in pain. So you have to be careful. And sometimes we won't even give people ice wave because we want them to feel the pain and baby that injury a little bit, stay off that knee if it needs to be recovering for a little bit. But for the people who are dramatic pain, it's really, really life-changing. I had a 74-year-old woman who had been in, when I said, okay, your pain level 1 to 10, what is it? And she said, it's a 15. And I said, how long have you been living with this pain? And she said, years. And she said, although I don't know that I could say living is what I've been doing. And so we patched her with those 3 sets of the pain reduction patch, the anti-inflammation patch, and the master foundational cell patch. And in less than 1 minute, she was down to a 0. And then guess what? I talked with her a week later, and she was laughing and giggling. Her kids had been crying all week. They were so happy to see her functioning as a normal human, going out and going to festivals and concerts. And they cried and they said, we just haven't seen you out of the house or happy. And she said to me, Darlene, it is not an understatement to say that you've saved my life. And it was just so moving. It was just so beautiful. So I don't go anywhere out of the house without these pain relief patches, because where someone would have a really hard time believing that anything is actually activating your stem cells that looks like this little Band-Aid. And I get that. I really do get that. There's probably a lot of listeners from your podcast that are saying this just sounds too good to be true. I get it. I agree with you. And I thought the same thing. But I've now watched hundreds and hundreds, and I've listened to thousands of testimonials on people. One of the ones I heard this week, a guy was ready for a kidney transplant, and he began patching. And when he got to the point in time where they were doing his intake to get him ready for the kidney transplant, they discovered he no longer needed the transplant. He no longer needed a new kidney. That's the remarkable nature of these patches. So it doesn't matter what you have going on. When you think about it, your master foundational cells are able to help, and your body has an innate wisdom and knows how to heal. So that's a lot. I've thrown a lot at you, Johnny.
Yes,
Ray. Ask a question and say.
No, and like you said, we're not saying it's a cure for certain diseases. We're just saying it's something to take to activate your cells. Correct? We're not saying that it's going to cure cancer, and it's not going to.
I'm not allowed to. Although I can tell you, I know of multiple testimonials of people who were basically said, there's one that's on my website. There's a picture of two PET scans. One has cancer riddling Nikki's body from her throat to her gut. She was no longer able to eat because she couldn't swallow through this cancer. They said it was systemic, it was throughout, there was no way to cut it, there was no way to radiate it. There was nothing they could do. They said, you have 36 months to live. We're so sorry. Get your affairs in order. And she began patching. And 5 months later, you see the other PET scan, and that shows no cancer in the body. So, we won't say that the patches cured her, but we will say the patches elevated her GHKCU, which reset genes and did, in fact, cause the body to fight cancer harder. And she's now cancer-free. And she's not an isolated instance. I have, many, many cancer-free people now who were not before patching. There's a guy, I really love his testimonial. So he was a really big skeptic, and he's like, this is all placebo effect. I don't believe it for 1 minute. Well, animals don't have a placebo effect, and we have dogs that weren't able to walk in 3 days of patching. They now are running around like a puppy. But he talked about how he began to patch just to prove to his wife that this is not real. But I mean, what do you have to lose? I'm just going to give it a try. I'll show you it doesn't really work, right? So He started January 9th, and he patched, and then he had lab work done. And then he got lab work done on April 2nd. And in that time frame, which is just 3 months, his A1C dropped from 6.6 to 6.1. His fasting glucose dropped from 180 to 119. His total cholesterol dropped from 194 to 147, and his LDL actually dropped from 108 to 69. His C-reactive protein dropped from 2.28 to 0.97. And I love this number. His cortisol, 19.5 down to 10.7. So that's that stress reduction, that anti-inflammation, that really improving the adrenal glands and all of the organs. His body weight, he's 6'2", and he was 222 pounds at the beginning, and his body weight went down to 204. His blood pressure dropped from 185 over 85 to 124 over 75. And he had all this hair growth. And so he said, I'm here to tell you it's not placebo because the proof is in the labs. And, he's just one of many, many people. And again, it is your body healing your body, not the patches healing your body. It's your body healing your body with the right signaling to go do what it's supposed to do, and it knows what to do. One of the problems is when we activate and elevate your master foundational cells, we can't tell them where to go. And so we have people who are like, I just really want my knee to stop hurting. But, months go by and their knee is still hurting. But guess what? In the meantime, what they don't know is it's gone in and helped support life systems that they don't know anything about. They don't know that they need it in their lungs or their heart or their brain or their liver or their kidneys. And eventually over time, they'll finally feel the improvement in that spot that they're really most interested in. but we can't direct where they go. They go where they're going to go. And we trust that that's the most important place wherever they are going.
Wow. So that's amazing. I'm listening to you. I know it's a lot, but I'm soaking it all in. And for my listeners, I hope you guys are soaking it all in. This is very, very, very interesting and amazing things that you're talking about. Now, one of my questions while you're talking, have you got any pushback from like the pharmaceutical companies with your patches?
You can appreciate that they're not going to like this very much, right? So when you look at how big business pharmaceutical companies are and how much they're in bed with the government and the media, it should come as no surprise that a lot of people have never heard of this. But I will tell you, big pharma medical schools curriculum are actually created by pharmaceutical companies. Doctors are learning drugs and how to cut. That they don't necessarily learn nutritional supplements. They don't learn nutrition. They don't always learn full body prevention, right? They learn this is the symptoms, this is a diagnosis, this is the medicine. And so when they are applying those pharmaceutical medicines, they're not improving the root cause of the issue. They are masking symptoms. So you're not resolving why is your blood pressure high? Why do you have high cholesterol? You're not resolving the source of that. And so the moment you stop taking blood pressure medicine, your blood pressure skyrockets, right? Well, what happens when you're patching is it's going to the root cause. It's resolving the issue so you don't have to take pharmaceuticals. I had one person in the first week of patching, she called her doctor and said, look, I don't think I need all this blood pressure medicine. My blood pressure is actually too low now. And so I want to come off of some of this medicine. So they dropped it in half in the first week. And eventually, they drop it all together. People that don't need their thyroid medicine anymore, people that don't need cholesterol, people that drop their insulin in half fairly quickly and ultimately don't need it at all. And so do pharmaceutical companies like this? No, this destroys their business model, right? They're in business, one medicine leads to another symptom, leads to another medicine, and they've kind of got this ripple effect, and they're never really resolving the issue. But I will say more and more doctors like it. And they like it because, doctors are humans too, and they have families that they want to have, they got in the business to help people. And ultimately, they will tell you they don't necessarily see any miracles with any pharmaceuticals. But I have a doctor that I do a weekly presentation on these things with every week. And she said in the year and a half that she has been patching people, she has seen more legitimate miracles than she ever has in her whole 20 years of being a doctor. And so I have 4 different doctors plus this friend of mine that are on the patches. Now, they didn't tell me they were on the patches. When I asked them, have you heard about these patches? They said, yes, and I do love them and I do wear them. And I'm like, okay, but you never told me about them. Why didn't you tell me about them, right? It's really frustrating. So, I don't think you'll be seeing it on the news media, or you won't see, I was a little frustrated. I was talking to our head of global sales and I said, why have we not got Tom Brady, poster child, showing off his patches? And he said, these elite athletes want a lot of money to advertise anything they do, and they get it. Right. So we're not going to spend the millions of dollars that they want to market this. We would rather put that money into research or into our sales teams, our distribution brand partners. So that's just the choice they made. They made that decision, and I respect that. I think that, we're in such an influencer world today that, we see any elite person doing something and they were like, oh, well, we'll try that because they tried that. And, but this is more, more direct word of mouth, person to person, which I like. Like, I really like helping people patch because I can help set expectations, expect like 10% a month improvement. That's the goal. And if you get that, that's excellent. If you get better than that, which a lot of people do, even better. But set the expectation. It's going to be slow improvement. Now, we can get you out of pain rather quickly with those pain relief patches. So you don't have to stay in pain as you are, your body's resolving whatever it is it's resolving. But I love helping people with this. This has been, to be truthful, the silver lining of my husband's Alzheimer's. It was life-changing for me to get out of pain. I had a broken foot, and I have been athletic my whole life, but this was not an athlete injury. This was a text and walk downstairs and miss the last 3 and break my foot and ripped my ankle ligament entirely, and the other one 90%. So I was in a world of hurt, and apparently for some reason they didn't think it looked broken, or they didn't think it looked ripped. So they didn't think that I needed to have any kind of MRI right away. But after many months of being still in pain, I was just a wreck. So they finally did an MRI and discovered that I had this issue and I needed surgery. But getting out of pain in that very first day was so remarkable that I didn't believe it. I truly didn't believe it. I thought, this is the day that my pain just goes away, because there's no way I can believe that these pain patches knocked my pain out. And then you wear the patch 12 hours on, and then you take it off 12 hours. And so you can do it one of 2 ways. You can also wear the patch 24 hours and then skip a day. So in this case, I was wearing it 12 hours on, and then I took it off. I crawled in bed, and within 5 minutes, my ankle was throbbing in pain again, like it had been before. So I was like, okay, this really is the patches. But other things happened for me. My rosacea, I have had years of battling that with dermatologists that couldn't resolve it. And it took 3 months, but all the symptoms of the rosacea went away. I couldn't lose weight, probably menopause, possibly hormones, possibly stress, who knows, right? But I was trying everything, including 3-day fast, 5-day fast. I was doing all the right things, eating all the right foods. I'm like, goodness, what is it going to take? And I ended up, once I started patching, I just started, weight just started melting off of me. And I think if it's a combination, one of the things that happens when you're patching is that you are, you're gaining muscle. You actually, this is something that your elite athletes would love. There's actually a patch that I haven't talked about that they would particularly love. It's a pouch that elevates the daughter peptide. So that that master foundational cell activation patch is activating GHKCU, but there's another patch that elevates AHKCU. Now, AHKCU is very different than GHKCU. GHKCU is found throughout the whole body, but AHKCU is actually only found in the brain, in the heart, and in the muscles. And so what that patch does, which is so phenomenal, is it actually improves, yes, performance and energy and strength and stamina, but also the cardiovascular system, the cognition of your brain, and it induces much faster recovery after exercise. I love it because it promotes lean muscle mass. It promotes fat loss, and it increases bone density. So for my mom and dad, and for me, going into my, I'm going to hit 60 soon, when I want more muscle so that I stay alive longer, because the number one all-cause morbidity after 60 are falls. And it's not necessarily the fall that kills you. It's just the fall that starts this decline of everything. And so the reason we fall is we don't have strong muscles and we don't keep ourselves upright, right? We lose stability. And so we need, there are a lot of people working on weight loss through Ozempic and all of these drugs, right? And I would tell you the biggest problem with that, I know that there's great benefit. So I'm not knocking anything anybody's doing. I'm just saying one of the problems with that is that you lose muscle, right? You're losing water and muscle out of the gate. And this is an approach that helps you drop weight and actually eat more and put on more muscle so that you are stronger as you get older. One of the studies that was done on this patch that elevates the daughter peptide, they found that, and your athletes will love this, in 2 months, their sit-ups improved by almost 71%. Their push-ups improved by 82%. Their squats improved by 47%. Bicep curls, 113%. grip strength. So for those of you that are like my mom, 83, and having trouble opening the pickle jar, her grip strength improved 74%. And then things like their biking improved 72%, their speed 22%, their distance improved, their pulse decreased. But what I love is that, for example, one male that was 74, his body fat went from 37.5% to 33.5% with no other changes other than wearing this one patch. And so his health risk went from 53% higher than ideal to 20% higher than ideal. And you could see the changes in his body. And I got to experience that in my own, just having this weight finally come off and not having to starve or restrict myself. Somebody asked, thank you, Karen, for your question around how long do you need to use the pain patch? Is it just as needed? Yes, if you're not in pain, in fact, don't put it on if you're not in pain, because the other patches, this Master Foundational Cell patch, that's always the first patch that you're going to wear, always. Just that one first. If you can, you add the anti-inflammation patch. The pain is an optional one that you wear only when you're in pain, because it's not a preventive thing. It's I'm going to put this on when I have pain, and it takes some precision placement. That's where I can come in and help people. How you patch with it matters. The other ones it doesn't, like the Master Foundational Cell patch, you can put it anywhere. Although we do find if you put it on a spot that hurts, you can find a reduction in pain, especially the anti-inflammation and that Master Foundational Cell. Those two, like if you have a shoulder injury, putting them right on the shoulder can knock out the pain without the pain reduction patches. So we'll often see that, and I think it's because it's just lighting that area up. It's getting the energy flowing and disrupting that pain signal. But the patches for the pain reduction, you would only put them on when you were in pain and needing it.
Okay. So what's the difference between, like, because they have these other patches that people wear, like, because sometimes I'm in back pain or my wife's in back pain, and we have these these big patches that we put on. So what's the difference between those patches and your patch?
Oh, what a great question, Johnny Ray. So the patches that you're talking about have a medicine on them. They have like a lidocaine, or they're a numbing agent, or they have like a cooling balm, like icy hot, right? That is a very different approach. That's a transdermal patch. That means there's something in the patch that's now going into the skin, like a nicotine patch. Something is going in the skin. In these patches, there is no thing going in the skin. It's just serving as a reflector to reflect your own light back. So no medicine in the patch that's going into the skin. Non-transdermal is what they call it. So that is, and of course, when you think about it, you couldn't have elite athletes in the Olympics wearing a patch that's affecting the bloodstream or putting a drug in there. So it's safe enough that the Olympic athletes are not risking their career. And there was a big kind of a scandal. If you go back to the 2008 Olympics, when the whole swim team medaled and swept all of these medals, and Michael Phelps won 1 million gold medals and such, the IOC investigated what are these patches and are they causing some benefit to the, well, what they found is there was nothing changing in the bloodstream. So they were fine. Everybody's fine. Everybody got to keep their medals, but it was sort of splashed all over the newspapers for a little while. Interestingly enough, the very first patches were invented when our owner and inventor was asked by the Department of Navy to create something that could keep our Navy SEALs awake for many days at a time and performing at high levels for many days at a time without amphetamines or drugs. And so our very first patches dramatically improve energy, and they do that by improving mitochondrial function. So they actually improve fat burning, which is kind of nice. They have a great benefit of turning over the lymph node system. They burn an extra 300, 600 calories a day, but they're really great for increasing energy and endurance and reducing fatigue and muscle soreness. So that's what a lot of those early 2008 Olympic athletes were wearing, because these other, like this, I don't think the anti-inflammation patch was even out yet. And I know that the Master Foundational Cell patch was not out yet. So that patch alone is phenomenal for so many things. And there are different patches, and that's where I can help. If someone's trying to get rid of a spiked protein from COVID. There's a trio of patches, one that elevates glutathione in the body dramatically. And in fact, your audience would love this. You know, a lot of people have knee issues, particularly athletes, right? Lots of knee issues and knee surgeries. There was a study done where all the participants in the study needed knee surgery. And they wore 3 of our patches, that master foundational cell patch, the patch that reduces inflammation, and this patch that elevates glutathione. And those 3 patches, 2 of which were placed on the knee itself, when worn for just 2 to 3 months, ended up regenerating cartilage in the body, in the knee, such that by the time they finished the study, none of them went on to have knee surgery. And wow. It's an amazing patch. For people who don't know about glutathione, I was actually taking glutathione orally, and I was taking glutathione via IV because it's your body's master antioxidant. It's your immune booster. And so as we headed into the COVID world, I was very concerned, having 4 autoimmune disorders, about getting COVID. And I will tell you, I managed to make it through all of that without getting it. But more importantly, when I found out this patch elevates my body's glutathione levels by 300% and keeps it there for 24 hours, I was blown away, because my IV, which was the best way I could get it, elevated it by 27% for only 7 minutes. That was the half-life. My master foundational cell patch hits 30, it elevates it by 30%, and it keeps it there all day. So even my master foundational cell patch is doing more for me in elevating glutathione than that IV was. And guess what? The people who live the longest in the world, in the blue zones and everywhere else, they have the highest levels of glutathione. So it's a really remarkable patch. So there are a variety of patches. There's patches that are really good for hormone balancing, above and beyond, supplementary, and they're not very expensive. Where I talked about that the master foundational cell patch being $99 a month, the wholesale. That's the best price. That's what I pay. That's the best price anybody can get. You know, if you pay retail, you're paying $150. Friends don't let friends pay retail. So, you know, let me help you by getting, the wholesale pricing on that. But the others are that, like the pain reduction patches, a 2-week supply of that is only $49. A 30-day supply of the anti-inflammation patch is only $49. When you're purchasing them in a kit, a introductory offer kit, or when you're purchasing them in sets of 3. So it's really, or you can buy one for $69. So it's really very affordable for the amazing results that you get.
Wow. Now, okay, so when we talk about these patches, the question I had was, like you said, you can have the first patch and the second patch and the third patch. Is there an issue if they have all 3 of them at the same time on? Or does it matter?
They're very complementary. We have a whole lineup of patches. I love all of them for different reasons. I wear all of them. There are day patches and night patches. So there's a patch that helps people sleep. You know, most of the world actually is not getting good sleep. And there's a patch that naturally elevates melatonin and serotonin. So that's your feel-good hormone. And actually melatonin is actually very good it's an antioxidant and cancer protective. So there are a couple that you wear at night that both help with sleep, and those would be better worn at night. And then the rest can be worn during the day. Some of those could even be worn at night if you wanted to, but they complement one another through energy flow as opposed to competing with one another. So there's no problem. Again, one of the things that I offer, part of what I'm here to help with, is that you don't want to do too much too fast. So we wouldn't start all of them at once. Like you would stagger your adding of patches. So you would start potentially with the master foundational cell patch and the anti-inflammation patch. You'd start there. You can add the ones that sort of ice your body and get away with pain reduction patches as well if you want to. But we wouldn't add more than that until many days had gone by and we saw that you're not detoxing too fast. The only potential would be that you're not drinking enough water, and then the toxins start coming out of your lymph nodes, and the toxins start coming out of your fat. And then if you're not drinking enough water, it's floating around in there and it makes you feel yucky. So the first step is drink more water and add electrolytes. The second step is, let's just remove a patch and take it, instead of 12 hours a day, let's drop it to 6 hours a day, and we'll build yourself back up. There's a question asking, can you heal your body with raw stem cells? I don't know what raw stem cells are, so maybe if you could clarify that, or Keel. There's no. I have gone out of country I've gotten injections, and I've gotten placenta stem cells, actually, which is very controversial, but it did not help my body at all. It did not help my husband's body at all. I did it 4 times, spent $10,000 each of us every time. It did not do anything for us. I have heard that it has made a tremendous difference for other people. That's why I got involved with looking at it to begin with. And but you can't get them here. They'll do a procedure in the United States where they'll take out your own stem cells, do something with them, and then pop them back in. And my question is, well, how do we know the stem cells they're pulling out of you aren't dormant? I mean, when you're nearly 60, they're almost all dormant. When you're 30, half are dormant. So I've heard there's still people that have a lot of success with that. Very expensive and higher risk, because anytime you're having an injection, you're at higher risk. But I have certainly heard that they can help.
Okay. Wow, this is very, very interesting. This is Ray on Sports, and like I said, I'm just not talking sports. I'm talking things to help you and things to heal your body, and that's why I asked Miss Greene to come on, because I read her bio and I was very interested in what she had to say. Let's talk about your book that you had, in Becoming Empowered: Echoes of Grace and Strength. What is that about?
Yeah, this is a book about it's real life stories of women's transformation and triumph in the face of hardship. So if you go back to why did I get autoimmune disorders to begin with, I would tell you I chose poorly my marriage partners twice initially, before this fabulous husband that I have right now. And it was rough, both emotionally and physically abusive. And it was not an easy thing to get out of them alive or safely, or without a lot of trauma. I had PTSD. I was in counseling twice a week. It was hard. I was then a single parent of 2 little girls. And it was a really rough road. I think those things caused my autoimmune disorders. And I can't say that for sure. That's my guess. We do know there's a book I read called Molecules of Emotion by Candace Pert. And she talks about the response that our body has when it's under stress like that. Certainly that was incredibly stressful. So I finally, I was never going to date again, never. And then I finally get it right. I finally find an angel gift from heaven on earth, just the most beautiful human being on the planet. To this day, he's the sweetest sweetheart. We had a very blissful marriage, just happy and easy and peaceful and lovely, and such a gentleman, just a sweetheart. And then he gets Alzheimer's. And it was so devastating. And so part of what this book talks about, and I have 1 chapter in it, and there are 12 total contributing authors. Everyone's got their own story, is how you endure those initial very tough hardships. And then for me now, and I am still in the middle of this, right? How you create intentionally joy in the midst of grief, in the midst of hardship, and find that silver lining. And I don't necessarily know that I believe everything happens for a reason, but I do believe that you can do something positive with everything that happens. And my paying it forward and helping other people with their health, and helping other people get out of pain, and helping, looking outward to help this community of people around me, has helped me to take my attention off of me as a victim feeling sorry for myself, because the love of my life is now a child at age 4, essentially, who no longer can toilet himself, right? There's a, wanders out and can get lost real easily. And you can't, there's a parent-child relationship now. And so it's a really, it's a book of hope, and it's a book of hopefully that will inspire people. I was stunned that it made the national bestseller list in the first month it was published. It was not a fun book for me to write. I did it because I was asked to by Sabine. So she said, would you write a chapter in this? And I just said, okay. So I did. I didn't enjoy it, and I won't do it more writing. It's not like the beginning of my writing career. Just trust me, this is not what I want to do. I don't want to go back and relive that again. But I am proud of the journey, and that journey made me who I am today. And I'm a gritty, resilient, capable person, and I will find the glass half full, and I will find a way to make the best of the situation. And really, I will work hard at taking care of myself through this process and not going down with the ship, because there was a while before patching when I would tell you, I would say to my family closest to me, I don't know how people survive this. Losing your partner for life and your best friend to this disease is so devastating that I just don't know how I'm going to survive it. And it did start to take me down. I do believe it was just taking me down. And I was like, well, I had 4 doctors actually say to me, the care provider goes first, dies first. And I'm like, wow. I'm not even 60 yet. I am too young to die already. So I had to work on balancing care providing and taking care of myself, and intentionally interjecting joy in the midst of grief, because this is a very long, painful process. It's years long. It's not like somebody died and now they're gone and now you're grieving and now you're over it. But not that people get over anything that fast. But it's a death of 1,000 cuts. It's a death every day. A little bit more is lost, or some other thing is lost. And so, I could spend every day just grieving and sad, or I can figure out, how to give myself permission to cry and grieve in the moments that I need to, and permission to have joy and happiness without feeling guilty when I need to as well. And kind of still focusing on a life ahead and in the future. Great question, Arquil, asking, what part does your diet play in healing? You need the parts to bake the cake. Now, I will tell you that most people, if we find that people are not responding to the patches quickly enough, we'll look at their water intake first. The second, we'll look at, do you have enough copper in your body? 80% of people are actually lacking in copper. So you can drink out of a copper mule cup, or you can you can eat chocolate or eat liver, or you can take a tiny little 3 milligram copper supplement. There are nutrients that help your body heal more quickly. There's no question about that. However, I will tell you, I have seen miraculous results in the patching for people that did not change a single thing in their diet. Now, many times what we find is people are inspired to change their diet after patching. And it starts by they get a better night's sleep. And then they're like, I'm going to get up early and I'm going to go work out. I'm actually feeling like I can get out of bed and go pop out and go to the gym, or go out for a walk, or start moving their body. And as a result of working out and moving their body, they think, I worked out, maybe I should eat healthier today, or it just sort of starts this process. And so we see a lot of people who improve their overall wellness by making little baby micro changes that are improving their overall health. Plus, this is an environment, the whole community of people that do this, we're all invested in helping people with health. So we're kind of smart on nutrition, and not everybody, and that's okay. There are people who share the success of the patches, and really they just kind of say, I don't really know much about these, talk to my friend Darlene. Like she will help you understand which ones and when. But they were fantastic for me, and I love them in here. But we do see that it helps anybody to feel better when you are eating more healthy.
Wow. So for them to research the patches and find out even more about it, they can go to your website, iamreverseaging.com.
Yes, and
all
there's
the information they need.
That's right, Johnny Ray. They can reach out to me there. I mean, you could buy patches from there, but please reach out to me. I'd be happy to give you a free consultation. There's no charge for any of my time. I do it because I love doing it. It is not my day job, by the way. I have a job. I'm a director of client services for a technology company, and I have been in the technology space since 2007. I've been a dean of a girls' academy and of a boarding school. I have been a vice president for McAfee. I have been a Navy commander. I had 3 commanding officer tours. So I've done a lot of things in my life, but I am incredibly passionate about this and helping people. And so I give very freely. It's sort of like my donation to community and humanity because I get as much out of it back when I watch people feeling better as I get in giving my time. So you can just buy the patches from my website. I will always reach out and say, don't forget to drink water. I'm here if you need any questions. But I would love it. You just said, hey, I'd like to connect. I'd like to talk about this. Can you walk me through which would be best and how do I get the cheapest? There are several different ways to buy patches, and I can make sure you get the best cheapest rates for you, so that we keep it affordable.
Okay, and is it okay to give out your email to people so they can reach out to you?
Yeah, you can. Darlene.Greene, DARLENE.GREENE @mac.com. You can reach out to me that way. I'm on Facebook, Darlene Bennett Greene. If you reach out to me on Facebook to friend me, do say you're interested in the patches, or that I heard you on Ray on Sports, because I get a lot of spam requests or bot requests that are not real, and I don't respond to those. So if you say something to me, then I will. And also LinkedIn. I'm on LinkedIn at Darlene Bennett Greene, so you'll find me there. And but probably the I Am Reverse Aging is the best. The percentage of copper, I don't know what the number is on that. I like 3 milligrams of copper. For me, there's a really inexpensive, I think it's Thorne, that makes one on Amazon. I don't think copper is in plants. I think it's in chocolate and liver and things like that you can eat. You can Google maybe where great sources of copper. I wasn't eating enough of those things, and so my doctor, this was before patching actually, told me I was low on copper. And without enough copper, you can experience body aches and pains that with enough copper you don't experience. So we were upping my copper levels before patching. And so it's just something to have if you have some lab tests done, ask about it, or even just throw in a 3 milligram copper supplement and see how you feel. If you take copper supplements, try to take it at a separate time than zinc, because they kind of cancel each other out. So separating those two, if a lot of people are in zinc now to keep their immune systems up as we are in a world of viruses. So, but just separate those two so you're not taking them at the same time.
Wow. So is it okay if I call you Darlene? I'm sorry, or Miss Greene, whichever one.
No, call me Darlene.
Well, I appreciate it. We've been on here for a while, and about an hour, but I appreciate you. The information that you gave. It was well received. It was very, very knowledgeable. It's things that I didn't know. Some things I did know, some things I didn't know, but I do have people who ask me questions like that, and thank you for answering all the questions that came across. As far as the water intake, I'm one of the ones that need to amp up my water intake, because I'm one of the ones that I drink a bottle and I'm like, okay, I'm good, but then my wife will tell me, no, you need more water, things like that. So I appreciate you, Darlene, for coming on here and for giving that information to anybody. And I would love to have you back on here. I would love to have you back on here to talk more about it.
Absolutely. We'd be delighted to. We have some new technology coming out in the next year that I'm super excited about. I'm super excited about it, not just for me and for all of my customers or patients or people, but I'm super excited about the possibilities of it for my husband as well. And here's a teaser for you. This is all I know. I don't even know. I know it's not patches. And I think I'm going to find out about it in October. I'm going to a conference. But what I know is it worked on 100% of the people that were tested in the lab. The fastest response was in 15 minutes. The slowest response was 2 minutes. And while it takes a bone normally 6 to 7 weeks to heal, it healed a bone in 7 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Definitely
when you find out, please. Yes, when you get the information, please, you have my email. Please hit me up, and I'll definitely schedule you.
I will. I think that's coming out Q1, Q2 next year. So we're still waiting, but we have some supplements coming out that actually help to improve the life and length of time, the health and longevity of stem cells. And I can say stem cells with this supplement, the patent, that whatever is coming out for this supplement, there's a day and a night formula, and that's going to come out in the next little while. Our owner and founder, you would love him. I know, Johnny Ray, that you come from a place of spiritual faith, and I will tell you, he would tell you his mind and these inventions where he was downloaded them from God. Like, he will tell you that he won't take credit. He's a very humble human being. And he says, look, I just downloaded it and I'm the vessel, and I've worked at it and gifted that way. So he has got other things lined up for the future that include how to power your house, how to power your car, anybody that's got electricity. Aquila, are you asking about cost for the patches or that future technology? I'm not sure which.
I think it's the future technology. I believe the future technology.
I don't even know what it is yet. Like, I don't have any idea, but hopefully I'll find out in October, because I have actually been sort of pinging the leadership and the company saying, is there any way I can get my husband in a study, a beta test? Can I sample this for you? Can I prove what this could do for Alzheimer's? Please. Mm-hmm. Because I don't know. That's all I know about it right now is next year, and really going to be phenomenal. So anyway, I'm excited about all that this company offers. And I'll say to you this, the company and the people and the friends that I've made in this company, they have done as much for my soul as the patches have done for my health and my husband's health, and the health of many people, because I am a part of a community and a tribe, so to speak, where people are loving and giving and generous and helping other people, and they have a goal of helping other people and being generous with their time. So it's a really, it's a beautiful community. It's a very, a lot of people in the community are very faith oriented, and that's a lovely thing too. I've never been in a company where people talk about that sort of thing. So that's just lovely too. So I am super happy to have found this company, and would love to speak to any and all of your listeners about the possibilities for them and their health. And, we all know someone, even if we think we're fine. Actually, the doctor that I do this weekly presentation with, she's like, I'm fine, I don't need anything. But my daughter has had a brain bleed from a traumatic injury after a horse accident. It was very, very bad. She was in a coma. She was not able to stand up without falling down. Her eyes were cross-eyed. She couldn't read anymore. They were going to flunk her out of school that year because she couldn't study. She couldn't do anything. She wasn't sleeping. And she began to research the patches, really because she had tried all of the Western modalities and nothing was happening and nothing was improving her daughter, including hyperbaric chamber and some other things. So she began patching herself before patching her plantar fasciitis started to go away and her lower back pain went away. And she's like, she initially said to me, I don't need anything. I'm fine, but I want these for my child. So what was funny is sometimes people actually forget they are in pain. They've lived with it so long that it's their norm. And so when it started to go away, she was like, wow, this is amazing. And then she no longer needed her thyroid medicine. But the neat thing was what happened to her daughter is the first night she slept through the night. The second, all of a sudden she's able to talk and she's able to read and she's able to stand. And she ended up pulling straight A's out the rest of the year, not having to be flunked out of school and getting to stay with her class. And she's a really tall girl, plays volleyball. So it was kind of, it would have been very hard for her to be held back a year and been now even taller relative to her peers. So it really is exciting. And so we have people that are, 88, like my father, and in their 90s patching. And we have young kids that are patching. My niece would tell you it helps her study. It helps her be smarter in class. It's really exciting. There are firefighters. I know I was listening to your podcast with your firefighter. I have a firefighter who they broke his back in a training exercise where they threw him over their shoulder, and he was never the same again. He's been in excruciating pain. He was immediately medically retired from them, and he's suffered for a long time, and we've been able to dramatically improve his health and reduce his pain, and it's just been phenomenal. Or there's a guy that I patched who was the single survivor of a helicopter crash. It was hit by an anti-air missile as they were doing a military operation, and everybody immediately, the helicopter exploded and they all died and fell to the ground. And one survivor, and this was a high school classmate of mine, we swam together. He was in a coma for months and months and months. Had many broken parts of his spine. They had to actually kind of create a column and fuse it together. And he said that it was excruciating. He was never going to walk again, etc. He worked through that and did manage to walk again, but he was still in pain and having issues. And so when we started patching him, they were phenomenal for him. He was so excited. So it's just wonderful to be able to pay back to those people who have sacrificed more than enough. And Arkell, I see your question about what state are the patches in? Well, we're not only in every state of the United States, but we're in 87 countries. So it's available everywhere. They just get mailed to your door.
I think he meant did you state what was in the patches themselves?
Oh, okay, gotcha. Sorry, thank you. I misread it, reading too quickly while talking, I guess. So there are some sugars, amino acids, salts. It's a combination of these, all sort of hermetically sealed in a Band-Aid sort of thing. And the Band-Aid is the normal 3M adhesive that's used for most Band-Aids. So again, that's all sealed in, so nothing's coming out. And it's not like salts or sugars that you have at the kitchen table. These are crystals, amino crystals, and things that are different. So that's what's in them, and that's what's creating that. It's that essentially the lattice structure. Here's what it's essentially, each patch are organic nanocrystals with new proprietary patented crystal formation. Each patch has a different proportion of combinations of amino acids, water, stabilized oxygen, sugars, and salt that form a crystal lattice structure. So that's kind of what I said, I think, but that was a little bit more articulate.
And if he needs to go back, he can always go to the website and they'll have that information as well, correct?
Yeah, somewhere on there might be what's inside them, probably, or just reach out and ask me. But the patent is on there, so it's probably in the patent. The 90 clinical studies are available. There are testimonials. There's 2-minute videos on how it works, and there's a 36-minute video for practitioners, and there's an 18-minute video that I really like that sort of cuts the middle of normal layperson that is being described for There's a video of horses and them getting out of pain. There are NFL players, there's athletes video testimonials, there's doctors testimonials. So there's enough to keep you busy on the website for quite some time. The links to the studies are there. The brain study that I talked about, that heart study that cardiovascular study I talked about, you can actually link and just click on there, and you can dive into each of the different pouches if you want to. So really, really amazing technology.
All right. Yeah. Thank you, Darlene. I know you can talk for hours and hours on this because I can feel your passion about it. I know you can talk for hours and hours on it. But before we go, I just want to say that for those of my listeners who are listening who do believe, we are praying for your husband and your strength, to go through this with your husband. You're a very strong woman to deal with this and go through this with your husband, because like you said, a lot of people don't survive it, or a lot of people would give up and say, you know what, this is too much for me. I didn't sign up for this. But in the wedding vows, it says for better or for worse. So and they never said what the worst is going to be. So I applaud you. I celebrate you for doing that, for being with your husband, for hanging in there with him through it all. And I know he's going to make it through this. So, like I said, for my listeners who listening, you guys believe, please say a prayer. Please say a prayer for it. What's your husband's name? So I can put your husband's name out there.
His husband's Jim. My husband's name is Jim.
Jim.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's awesome.
So we put a prayer out for Jim.
Thank you.
For complete healing.
That's awesome.
You're welcome. Thank you. That's it for Ray on Sports for this edition. Oh, no problem. Like I said, Ray on Sports is not just about sports. It's about everything dealing with sports, also with, health issues and things of that nature. So I want you guys to tune in. If you guys miss any of this interview, if you miss any of this podcast, any of this information that she gave you, you can always go back to listen to it on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, on Buzzsprout. And also it will be back on Facebook and YouTube, so you can look at it again. Thank you, Regina, for your prayer, for the healing power. She says, yes, Lord, have your way. We're declaring healing over your husband, Jim, in the name of Jesus. All right. So we thank you for that.
So sweet.
So, and also for those who need your website again, your website is IamReverseAging.com. That's IamReverseAging.com. And if you want to get in touch with Darlene, you can reach her at darlene.greene@mac.com. I'm sorry, darlene.greene@mac.com.
Yeah, that second dot should come out after the green. There's no period after that. It's
okay.
Darlene.greene.
Yeah, that was a typo. Yeah, I think that was a typo on my part. I'm sorry.
No worries at all. No worries at all.
Typing too fast.
That's all right. Thank you. That's
there
perfect.
It is. Darlene Greene at Mac.com. All right. Thank you guys. This has been another episode. This is episode 21 of Ray on Sports. It's getting better and better every time we get on him. And Darlene says she's going to come back and tell us about this new information that's coming out with this new technology that's coming out. She's coming back to do that. So you guys look forward to that. Once again, thank you for listening to Ray on Sports. I am your host, Johnny Ray. Take care and God bless. Thank you, Darlene.
Thank you, Johnny Ray.